Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Brent Lavin with me here today. Brent is the Director of Strategic Growth at BD in Peripheral Intervention Division. He has spent years launching new Medtech innovations to improve healthcare for patients, and in the Phoenix area, he's also active volunteering in his local church and in kids' activities. And hopefully we'll have some time to geek out about real estate investing as well. Welcome to the show, Brent.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Tim.
Okay, so before we started the show, we're both not natives to Arizona. I've been here longer. I was excited about that. But we love it here, and here by choice and staying. We both have families here, and it's. I would say one interesting thing that's maybe unique to Phoenix with the family that was different from coming from the Midwest was the walled yards, right? It was. I was used to the backyards all being open. The kids all played together there. You'd sometimes play in the streets. It's hot here. Some people don't like to play in the streets. So it was a little harder to find a sense of community. And that's one thing that I thought the churches provide really well here, which is great. Did you find a community through the church here that way for you and your family as well?
Yeah, there is a bit of a Midwest friendliness that, I grew up with, and the backyards were open. And, both my wife and I grew up in small towns, and you kind of whistled out the backyard in order to get
Right.
kids home for dinner or for bedtime or whatever. So yeah, it is a little bit different where you kind of all go into your pools and whatnot. But we were really interested in continuing, our faith walk through the local church when we moved here. And so we had a couple of them, on our list here down in the Chandler area. And so we did the church tour, and the second church we visited has been our home ever since. So we go to Compass Christian Church over here and continually meet new people. That's where we've plugged in with friends and with family, with kids, and we may even talk about it a little bit. We've done local and global mission trips. And so it's been just a great way to meet people. And so, that's been
a huge impact.
Yeah, it's been a great part of moving here to Arizona.
Okay. Yeah. It's I was excited to add that because I don't hear enough about it. So thank you for sharing that. So can you talk to us a little bit about business, BD, what you do there, and how you got into it?
Yeah, so I'm going to rewind just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
I went to the University of Wisconsin. I was, again, from small town USA, and I was good at math and science. So, of course, you go into engineering. And I liked making things. I liked innovating. I liked product development. And so I wandered there a little bit, but I focused on electrical engineering, and then ultimately got a job up in the Green Bay area. And I was working for an engineering company. I quickly realized that I liked it, but I didn't love it enough to do it the rest of my career. And at the same time, I had a personal medical situation in which I ended up in the ER and had a CT scan done that night that ultimately changed the diagnosis for the problems I was experiencing. And when I went to the surgeon's office visit, they threw the CT up on the light box, that old light box, and it was the loaf of bread, view of my abdomen. And he said, right there's the problem. And instead of being scared or uncertain, I was actually fascinated. I was like, that's
relieved.
Yeah, relieved.
Sometimes it's nice to have something to point. And the not knowing is it can be brutal.
Exactly. Yeah, the uncertainty was over, but I was fascinated that they, within about a minute and a half of a CT scan, they could see my entire abdomen sliced like a loaf of bread. And 3 days later, I was in surgery to fix that issue. And at that moment, I said, I really want to do that.
Medical, technical.
Yeah,
innovation.
medtech things, medtech innovation. So I ultimately went back and got my MBA so that I could do product management and marketing in medtech, blending my technical expertise with with the commercial side. How do we actually go market it and sell it? And so I did about 6 or 7 years at GE Healthcare and actually doing some of the imaging that changed my life. And then I was recruited out here to Arizona. And we
Okay.
mentioned earlier, my first day here was to interview for the job. My third day here was to start the job. And at
And you had
BD,
family, you had little kids at that time.
we did. We had 3 young kids at the time. Now we have 4, much
Okay.
older. But yeah, we've been here 14 years. And then my current role at BD is focused on peripheral interventions. So the arteries and veins in your arms and legs. And we're doing basic plumbing of stents and balloons and therapies to maintain blood flow in your body. And I worked
Right.
together with engineers and other technical side, as well as physicians and the sales teams to make these products, come to life.
Okay. And how's that changed since you've been in that industry? I'm
Yeah,
talking specifically peripheral stuff and the cardiovascular
yeah,
tech.
I mean, it's been tremendous innovations. I mean, I'll take one example in your legs. When you have a blocked artery, the standard of care 15 years ago was a PTA balloon like they do in your heart. And it was just a mechanical balloon that blew up, opened up the calcium, and then blood would flow, and that was it. But every time you do that intervention, the body responds, and you can actually get continuing disease in the future because you've introduced this foreign body. Well, now the standard of care is to put a drug on that device. And so the drug inhibits that continual disease progression. So that's just one example where the old way was to just mechanically open it up. And now today it's a
Okay.
drug and device together. And
Okay.
those things are happening all over the body. It's amazing, what the next innovation is going to bring in peripheral vascular.
Okay. Okay. I think of that stuff as like stealth technology, where it's like chemically coating it so the body
Yeah.
doesn't recognize it as foreign type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, there's drug device combinations happening all over the body right now. And to your point, it kind of mimics what your body expects. And so it
Right.
doesn't fight it as a foreign thing.
Right. Are like throwing an emboli or anything still a concern with a lot of peripheral vascular work?
Absolutely, for sure that's your precautions are being taken, right? And certain technologies are better at that than others. But I'll give another example. Pulmonary embolism
Hmm.
continues to be a very deadly disease
Yeah.
globally, where you can develop a clot in your legs. You go on an airplane, and then the clot breaks loose, and it goes to
Yep.
your heart and lungs, and it's troublesome, right? So
Yeah.
um, again, more technology is coming out in order to be able to deal with that earlier in the process. And so that's where hopefully we can reduce that incidence.
Okay.
Detection's also another, a new frontier to make sure that we can detect it early enough so that it's subclinical before it gets treated.
Right. Right. I think about that stuff every time I'm on a long flight.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, wear your compression socks would be my recommendation.
right. And I think on those bigger flights, every couple hours, they should stop drink service and let everybody do laps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I take the aisle on the long flights for that reason, actually.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So uh, you're enjoying the strategic growth role at BD. Can you talk a little bit more about what that entails?
Yeah, so a lot of my career has been on the traditional product management side, where we're again bridging that gap between the technical and the commercial teams.
Okay.
And so I've spent 12, 13, 14 years here at BD doing that. And in the process, I've had the opportunity to help our company buy other technologies or other companies as we expand our portfolio.
Okay.
And medtech is always an acquisitive industry where startups will take a technology to a certain point and sell it to the bigger
Right.
multinationals. And so this role is an extension of what I was doing there, but it's specific around, do we have the right portfolio? Are we developing the right technologies? But also, what else could we buy to keep um, expanding our growth in the
Right.
treatment of these diseases? So it's a natural
Okay.
extension of that.
Okay. Okay. Probably, I guess emergent, no, what's the word? Synergistic sort of advances, right? When you can combine some of these mergers, right? The cars do this a lot. Car companies, right?
Yeah.
They want a new transmission with a type of engine enhancement, which allows the right to perform 10 times better instead of 2 plus 2, right? It's an emergent sort of result.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways, and this is the art and science of looking to be to what is the next new thing. Sometimes it's about what are the physicians treating? What else can we serve and sell to those physicians?
Right.
What else is the patient suffering from? So how else do we serve that same patient? Or it might be in this setting of care, they're also doing XYZ. And okay, so how do we add that to our portfolio? So there's a lot of different ways that you can think about how do you want to grow? And then based on that, then you can go find the technologies to put into your portfolio.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the hurdles or challenges associated with buying and implementing new tech,
Yeah.
considering the US isn't always the quickest of adopting medical or healthcare systems?
Yeah, so I actually was on a recent podcast and I equate it to the real estate market in the sense that um, the companies that we buy and the technologies we buy, they're very transparent with what they're willing to show us and tell us about. Um, but it's like buying a house. There's always that doorknob in the wrong spot, or you wish there was a cabinet somewhere else. There's always some imperfection. And so, um, you're regulatory wise, there's always some risk there. We tend to be more conservative than startup companies, and so generally assuming some more risk. But also the thing I would focus on right now in the post-COVID world is the operational complexity of medtech and being able to take a product and a startup where they're maybe selling 100 or 1,000 a month and taking that to 10,000 or 100,000 per month and being able to scale that,
Right.
just naturally comes with a risk that is really hard to assess.
Okay. Okay. How about demand? Are there more and more cases, and is the need growing for this tech for like peripheral vascular issues?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, so first of all, we live in an aging population, and so just the demographics alone are going to fuel that. Um, Yet at the same time, there really is lack of awareness around peripheral arterial disease in particular. So I'll talk a little bit about that. My own mother, in fact, was struggling post knee replacement with some leg swelling and some tiredness. And I was the one to help educate her about her need to get a venous assessment on the vein return to
Right.
her heart. Um, and she actually got a vein ablation out of that. But if I hadn't been there talking to her, she wouldn't have known about this.
Right.
And her primary care probably wouldn't have asked that level of
Yeah.
question. So,
Yeah. That's a little niche for to be on his radar.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So definitely expanding, patient population and then also just increasing awareness, I think will lead to continued growth in treatment
Okay.
of these diseases.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a common comorbidity, right, with all sorts of other growing diseases and obesity and the diabetes and things associated in our,
Well, yeah,
unfortunately, in some of those things are growing in our system.
yeah. There are high correlations between diabetes and peripheral arterial disease, as well as um, coronary artery disease. And so, coronary artery disease gets a lot more attention because those are heart attacks. And some people will call peripheral arterial disease dysfunction, a heart attack in your leg. And
Right.
so all of a sudden, when you have cold toes, there's just countless stories of patients that will go to their physician with a black toe,
Hmm.
and they just didn't think it was a big deal, and it got worse and worse and worse. And by the
Yeah.
time they got the appointment, they have to do an amputation.
Right.
And so, yeah,
Did, my wife did 5 toe amputations last week.
Yeah.
And it's
And you know,
it's indicative of a bigger problem too. It's not like, oh, that toe went bad, now you're all better.
yeah.
The cause is still there.
Yeah, and the statistics on below the knee amputation and mortality at 3 years are staggering. Over 50%
Wow.
of patients at 3 years end up dying because they lose
Right.
mobility, they lose just a vitality to life, and it
Yep.
just makes life a lot harder. So amputations are a big deal, and if we can treat that early with minimally invasive treatments, then they can live longer, hopefully.
Right. Right. And stay more active.
Stay more active. Yeah. Play more
Mm.
pickleball.
Yep. Yep. Movement is a gift, not
Yeah.
a chore. Okay. Um, all right. Pivoting now, because let's talk a little bit more about you seem to have been doing some incredibly impactful volunteering research, not just locally. I think you did some Phoenix area stuff here too, but you were also talking about international work. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that's super cool.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, service has always been part of my wife and I's kind of passion, serving through the church. And, we just did a backpack drive here at our local church for
Okay.
City of Chandler starting next week. And that was
School's coming.
awesome. Yeah. School's coming. And, there were 2,000 kids, getting free backpacks there. And so again, back in about 2017 or so, we had some money we didn't expect to receive. And my wife and I were at dinner one night, kind of just dreaming about like what would we want to do with that.
Hmm.
And kind of going all over the board. And I said, I really want to take a portion of this and go serve in a way that we haven't served before. And so that night at dinner, we said, let's go do a global mission. Now, at the time, we had 4 kids that were about 12 years old and younger. And so
Wow.
that seemed like a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And funny part of that story is a friend of ours said something like, well, don't go to any third world countries. Don't think about going to, and we just kind of laughed about it. We went to church the next week, and one of our good friends was leading a brand new trip to Cambodia. And
Okay.
Carrie and I looked at each other and were like, we have to go. And so in both 2018 and 19, we were privileged to go with a group. We led the second trip of about 12 to 14 volunteers to travel over to Cambodia and work in the orphanages there. And just an impactful global mission opportunity. And at the time, we were able to get the kids, uh, uh, care taken care of. And so it was a great blessing. And we still have
Right.
a real heart for Cambodia and hope to go back again someday.
Okay. That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm extra impressive that you did it with 4 little kids. At home.
Yeah. I think, part of the way that we want to lead our family is by showing them what to do.
Yes.
And,
Your role models.
we are able to come back with stories about kids their age that lived in orphanages and how joyful they were and just how happy they were to get, an inflated ball, a beach ball to play with. And it really does change your worldview. And what I would say is it's really easy to be changed while you're on the trip. It's hard to continue to stay changed when you get
Right.
back
Yeah.
because
You
you
get back
get
in your old
integrated back
environment
into the
and
culture,
habits.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's something I like. That's kind of one of the things I like about travel or camping or anything where you get rid of all the comforts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of an innate gratitude practice, right?
Yeah.
Like warm water, just a light switch that works. Like, oh yeah, these are great.
Yeah. I took a lot
You,
of cold showers there.
yes, yeah,
Um, and I want to pass along this other, story as just a huge lesson that I
yeah.
learned while I was there. We
Please.
were we were painting one time for one of the orphanages, and we were using kind of makeshift things, and it was actually pretty hard to kind of get it all done on the second story and everything. And I joked about having a power painter. Boy, if we could just get a power painter over here, how easy would that be? And the focus of that mission was to work as the locals work and to
Okay.
not introduce new technology, so to speak, um, so that people didn't see themselves as less than, and
Right.
they also didn't feel the need to move somewhere else. And so it was just a lesson that like we wanted to work as they worked,
Okay.
um, and use the local, customs and everything. And we didn't try to Americanize the
Sure.
project and get it done quicker or easier. So
Right.
a lot of lessons there, but it was a lot of fun. And if you think Phoenix is hot, Cambodia's just as hot. But it was fun and lifelong memories for sure.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm sure. I'm sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure you have some really cool pictures from that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So we have some time. Let's talk shop. Let's talk
yeah,
real estate.
yeah,
Okay. Before we started, we both came from the revelation that you can invest in, apartment, multifamily, really, right? And we
hmm
thought that uh, real estate projects were largely for institutional people. We didn't know they were an option. Private investments are, I think, a huge secret because
yeah,
the traditional financial industry it often um, doesn't benefit from it, so they don't really promote it very much.
yeah. Yeah, so I was grateful. A good friend of mine is my financial advisor, and was telling me about the benefits of real estate. And it's a little bit like urban legend. Other people own real estate. High net worth individuals own real estate,
Okay.
or private equity owns real estate.
Right.
And Mike, my friend, was like, "No, you could own real estate."
Hmm.
And he kind of born the idea in us that we wanted to do that, and create some small piece of I don't want to say generational wealth, but just some wealth, right? Through participating in the real estate market. And so in 2017, yeah, we were able to purchase a multifamily property, our first, and get our feet wet. And it was a great experience. I loved it. I learned a lot.
Were you
And
managing it yourself?
I wasn't. I would tell everybody that owns multifamily to have a property manager. That was my experience, and we had a great property manager. And yeah, it was a great first step in the water, toe in the water. And then, as we talked about off air here, in 2021, the property was actually becoming a little bit difficult to manage. And there was the run up in the market. And so we took the opportunity to sell that property, use a 1031 exchange, and buy several single family residences out in Santan Valley, which
Okay.
was just another growth area out here. And so now we're leveraged to the growth out in that area in a probably more stable asset class.
Okay.
And
Right.
yeah, I do manage those myself, but
Okay.
that's a different
Okay.
different
Um,
asset. So
before we talk a little bit about that, if you have, I wanted to point out two things I think is was awesome. You said your financial advisor friend Mike
yeah,
was not anti-real estate, which is awesome.
yeah,
That's a strong, diverse portfolio, and shout out to Mike there. But also, uh, uh, 1031 exchange you mentioned.
yeah,
For people who don't know, that's a means to take profits or proceeds from a real estate project or transaction that and redeploy them into, they call it like kind, but um, into a new project within a certain amount of time following certain rules, and you don't have to pay tax on those right away. You can put all those profits into the next project and grow your investments faster. You still have to you have a different basis and you still have to pay tax on that later, but there's different strategies for dealing with all that. But the 1031 is a very popular tool, and it's not going anywhere soon based off of the one big beautiful bill that just made sure of that
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Okay, managing the single families yourself, I've done a little of that, and there's an art to that, right? I always say that screening tenants is probably the most important. What's your experience been? I mean, are you up at night fixing toilets and so forth?
yeah. So I like to tell people that I've gone as long as 12 months without driving out to Santan Valley, because I managed by
Nice.
Rolodex.
Yep.
And so, we had a roof repair that I managed. I got two vendors in, they took pictures, they did a FaceTime with me. I
They both
evaluated
gave you quotes.
yeah, they both gave me quotes. And then, um, and the tenant, was able to open the doors when they needed, and so you just kind of manage it by Rolodex. And so it really takes very little time when you get it set up. I would say um, that there are certainly legalities that you got to be aware of and work through. And I'm not here to give you advice on that. But yeah, screening tenants is 99% of the of success here, and
Right.
just being open with your tenants and having strong communication.
Hmm.
Where I've got tenants that something breaks in the house and I order it on Amazon, send it to them, and they replace it.
Right.
Um, and that's not expected, but that's just the type of people that have rented from us. And so yeah, once you get it set up, and it's been quite easy actually.
Right. Right. Single family real estate can be awesome or it can be a real headache depending upon how you execute on it. So kudos for
I've
Brent
had my
for that.
share of headaches,
Yeah.
and things you don't expect. And I would tell anybody that's looking to get into it is plan for 90 to 95% occupancy. Don't plan for 100%.
Yep.
And then just ensure that you have the right reserves in place, because in four houses I've replaced two air conditioners.
Hmm.
um there's
And
been
roof repairs.
and there's roof repairs,
Those are
and
some of the most expensive for sure.
yeah, and then tenants um don't always leave the place the way you expect it, and so you just have to have allowances for that.
Yep.
And then I pay for it to be done. I don't often go out and do it myself, because I got four kids and a full-time job. So
Right. Right. Yeah, it's impressive. Very impressive. Yeah, you're able to do all that. I have some friends who, but no, don't have full-time jobs anymore. They would manage their own portfolio of about 50 homes, single family homes and
mm,
stuff. And just like you, they have their own Rolodex. For our younger listeners and viewers, a Rolodex
oh
is a
yeah.
collection of contacts, like like your contacts app on your phone.
Yeah, yeah. Just Google it and get a Google image of Rolodex, and you'll know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're not old. Okay, that's great. That's great. You just since we're talking about real estate and
Yeah.
before we wrap things up, can you talk a little bit about maybe like one of the biggest challenges in investing in real estate for you that you've had to deal with?
Mm, biggest challenge. We executed. Here's what I would say is the 1031 exchange can be complex
Hmm.
because of the really strict rules that the IRS has put in place. And
Right.
so I have found and hired good people to help me with
Right.
that. And so don't be afraid to reach out and find experts and
Yes.
even pay for it if you need it done.
Yep. And
So
for people who may not know, that's a qualified intermediary.
yeah, and a really good tax guy,
Mhm.
and a real estate agent that knows 1031s. And so yeah, all of those things need. So that exchange was exhilarating, but also a high warrior act. So that was probably the
Okay.
most challenging.
Okay. Okay. Um, so what are your goals for real estate now? Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for growth? A little of both?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% certain. We
Okay.
are cash flowing a little bit of money here and there. It's not life-changing by any means. But I think part of it is our just long-term strategy with our kids as they go
Hmm.
to college, and even post-college. Um, and I don't want to get into all of the reasons why, but I think you see this generation is going to have more and more challenges in home ownership, I think.
Sure. I think so.
And you think of the not only the prices and the down payments required, but also just the lack of supply that we see in Phoenix. And I know that some of that'll change over time, but we're just hanging on to these to give our kids an option to either live in or perhaps even just pass along to them in a
or
generational way. So,
right. That's awesome. That's awesome. My 2 cents, what I would like to do, I have a son going to college. And I want to get a rental property in that college and let him
yeah.
have skin in the game, have him manage it, have him
Hmm.
get the profits, share the profits with them as he
Hmm.
learns some skills,
Hmm.
and that accountability, I think, would be great.
Yeah. Yep. Um,
Okay, a reflection question. What do you wish you would have known sooner about building wealth and success early in your career? It could be about medtech, it could be about
yeah.
investing, or just
Yeah, I think part of it's just illustrated through the real estate piece. And what I wish I knew sooner is just you don't have to follow all the same rules as somebody else. And I had um, a great upbringing from my dad, who worked for the same company for 35 years and was um, was just really instrumental in that company, and worked really hard. Um, and so I was starting to follow that path. And I think careers are just different now. Careers are
yeah.
going to be more um, fluid.
Yeah, the
And
average person used to work for like 1.3 companies like 50 years
yeah,
ago, and now they work for like 5.4 or something. I think those were the numbers, whatever,
yeah,
in their career.
yeah. And I think part of the reason just invest in real estate is to just do something on the side and say, we don't have to just put all our eggs in this basket. And so that's probably the thing I wish I would have maybe tried out a little sooner. But you know what? The second best time to plant a tree is today. And
Yes.
so might as well
Yes.
get started.
Yep. Okay. That's awesome. That's good advice too. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
So if people would like to connect with you or learn more, what can they do?
Yeah, I would just say the best way is through my LinkedIn, Brent Lavin, MBA. I love to meet other professionals here in Phoenix. I'd love to talk about any of these topics, serving in your community, medtech. If you're looking younger listeners that are looking to get into medtech, I think it's an incredibly
I
rewarding
think so too.
field. And
And it's
then,
growing and very cool. It's just
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, we're doing amazing things in imaging and interventions. I'm excited, uh, you know, for this field, for the next, couple of decades. And then, real estate too. I'd be happy to answer any questions on that because people gave back to me and help in order to help me learn. And so, certainly just on LinkedIn, just Brent Lavin MBA, connect, hit me with a DM, and happy to be in touch.
Okay, that's awesome. You just reminded me that was the one special I wanted. If I went into medicine, I wanted to do interventional radiology.
Yeah.
That was changing so fast back in the day, and I just wanted to be a part of that because yeah, it scratches that. I don't know if it's a guy thing. We like our toys and
Yeah, yeah. I am
and
in,
stuff.
that's part of the reason I started in imaging, and I actually did some biopsy needles when I first came to be Bard, but then I moved into the interventional side, and I would say it's so fascinating to me that these men and women can accomplish what they do
Mhm.
simply through a groin puncture, you know,
Right. Oh yeah.
and that they just have a toolbox and they just make it work. And
Right.
it's amazing their skill set.
Right. And that's what I think one of one of the strengths of modern medicine is the acute stuff, the acute treatments and stuff, right? And you can go
Yep.
in and you can cure somebody's cancer like that. Hey, yeah, I'm out in like
Yeah.
less than an hour. That's awesome. You can have some really good
Yeah.
results quickly with some
You
really
know,
good
when I
advances in
grew up
technology.
as a kid, I knew of people that got exploratory surgery. You may remember that exploratory surgery. They went in
Yeah.
to like check out a knee or anything.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't
Let's go
exist
see what it
anymore,
might be.
right? And today we're doing a lot of surgery for like cancers and things like that. But there's technology coming out where that's going to be done via ultrasound and
Mhm.
histotripsy and other forms of energy outside of the body. And
Right.
so it seems like science fiction, but it's coming to reality. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Very, yeah, a lot of exciting stuff happening now and in the pipeline. A
Yeah.
lot of great stuff. All right. Well, Thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Brent Lavin, for joining me today. We very much appreciate. I enjoyed meeting you, and we appreciate hearing your story and getting some insights into your success and impact in Phoenix and internationally in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.